Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. And this morning we're talking about tipping. Now, tips originally meant to acknowledge standout service. Nowadays, the virtual tip jar seems to be everywhere, and technology has made it even easier to request or suggest gratuities even before service has taken place.
Yeah, so we want to know, how much do you tip, or do you even tip? Make sure you vote online through our app, and of course take part in discussion on our Facebook page. Plus, our very own Shannon Becker hits the studio to wrap up the week with his big 3 news stories.
But first, our top stories right now at 7. Coming up, authorities in Parsons call in the Kansas Highway Patrol Hazardous Device Unit to dispose of a bomb found in a residential area.
And we are watching some rain chances out to our west. We're going to keep an eye on these, but otherwise we're going to be hot and dry. We're going to break it all down coming up.
And Freeman expands its office space in Joplin, which it says will provide more convenient access for patients.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thanks for joining us for the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. I'm Tanya Bach.
I'm Chris Warner. So it's going to be a very warm one today. It's only going to get hotter from here, and unfortunately we're going to stay very dry, which is why I'm very closely watching some rain activity on the Skywatch storm trackers. So I want to talk about that real quick, because this is actually something. You can see that line of some showers, maybe even a rumble of thunder or two out just to the west of our immediate viewing area. So here's where it gets interesting. This line was originally tracking somewhat to the northeast and was dissipating, which it still is dissipating. It was going to clip our northwestern counties, about like that. However, on the latest radar loops, you can see while it's still rotating here off to the northeast, the lower section of this, including some of that redevelopment back behind it, is sliding off to the east. Now, it may fall apart before it gets very far, but we'll keep an eye on it and keep our fingers crossed that maybe it can bring some of us some much-needed rainfall. 7th in range line, sun is rising, looks pretty good. Temperatures, not bad either. 61 degrees as we start the day today. We're looking at 60s across most of the area. 62 Yates Center, Fort Scott, 61 Lamar, Carthage, 59 in Monette. Allergies also something to deal with today. We are looking at a 9.2 out of 12 today, 8.3 out of 12 for tomorrow. And as we go through the rest of the day, as I mentioned, it's going to be a hot one. Maybe an isolated storm or two through noon. We'll keep an eye on those. Otherwise, mostly clear skies, 91 for a high. And as we head into tonight, partly cloudy skies and an overnight low of 64 degrees. We're going to talk about the 7-day forecast and see just how hot it's going to get here in a few minutes.
You may not be happy about that heat, but it's coming and you need to be prepared.
Yeah, you need to be prepared for it.
All right, thanks, Chris. A crash near Springfield, Missouri leaves one person seriously injured. 66-year-old Robert Van Glider of Willard, Missouri, was driving his Harley-Davidson motorcycle when he turned into the path of 22-year-old Joseph Brown's 2003 Dodge Stratus. Van Glider was seriously injured and transported to Mercy Hospital in Springfield via ambulance. Authorities in Parsons, Kansas, discover an explosive device in a residential area. They say they received the call at around 2 p.m. on Thursday for a suspicious object in the 2700 block of Durer. When they arrived, they tested the device. The result came back positive for explosive material. The Kansas Highway Patrol Hazardous Device Unit came and disposed of the device. There's still no word yet on a suspect, and authorities urge anyone with information to contact the Parsons Police Department. Freeman Health System begins construction on a new office building. The $10 million project will feature 3 stories and more than 30,000 square feet of space. Officials say it will offer patients convenient access to dermatology services, general surgery, pain management, and urology. The new building will be near Freeman West, which officials say is beneficial for doctors.
To be able to do what I do, which is engineering construction, and do it for the betterment of our fellow human beings and the community is very satisfying. And we're not just building a warehouse or something, but it's something to help people.
Officials expect the building to be completed around November of next year. It is officially National Hispanic Heritage Month, and Pitt State's student-led Hispanic organization, Hispanics of Today, held a celebration to kick off the start of Hispanic Heritage Month. Celebrating Hispanic heritage at college can make some students feel at home.
I think the need is very strong. We do have a community here in Pittsburgh, but many people who come from different places grew up in a very bigger Hispanic community. So when they come here and they don't see their culture, they get a little shy and don't want to go out and do things.
Hispanics of Today is planning more on-campus events throughout Hispanic Heritage Month. And coming up later in the show, our own Amber Jenkins takes us to PSU for a closer look at the celebrations. On this date in 1965, British singer David Jones changes his stage name to avoid confusion with one of the members of the Monkees.
He chose the name David Bowie in homage to Jim Bowie, Richard Widmark's character in the 1960 movie The Alamo. One of the truly iconic figures in music history, Bowie went on to sell 140 million albums and won 5 competitive Grammy Awards. And of course, new David Bowie documentary coming out soon as well.
Or should we say David Jones?
Yeah. Interesting. I did not, that's one thing about David Bowie I did not know. And now I do, and now you know. Something else you need to know about is our 7-day forecast. Again, isolated storm chances possible tomorrow. Otherwise, we are pushing highs close to, if not reaching, 100 degrees heading into next week as we stay hot and dry. Cold front Thursday is still going to come through. It'll gradually drop our temperatures. No rain with it, unfortunately, at least not right now. Our next best chance of rain isn't until next Sunday at this point, so we'll keep an eye on it. And of course, if any rain chances crop up between now and then, we will let you know and celebrate them because we are in desperate need of rain across the area.
We got to figure something out. You're obviously not dancing enough.
That we're not washing our cars and we're not mowing our yards enough, so we got to get out there and contribute.
Okay, so maybe not that part, because like the folks in Caney, Kansas are being asked not to wash their cars.
That's very
and
true.
Not to water
Caney,
their
Kansas,
yards.
dealing
So,
though with a very the thing is about Caney. I mean, that is the prime example of just how serious the drought situation is getting in our area, where they've placed those kinds of restrictions on water supply, and we're going to have that more on that in our second half hour.
That's right, and we don't have those restrictions everywhere, but you want to be reasonable. We're just kind of like
right. The
half
water
joking
situation.
About like when you wash your car, then it rains.
Honestly, the best thing to do is probably mow your yard.
And then the grass will die.
Maybe it'll rain though. We'll see what happens. But we got to figure out something like you said. We've got to get some rain in the area.
All right, thanks, Chris. Well, up next, the Pittsburgh State Gorillas crack the national rankings, and with that comes great expectations. Chris has more on how the Gorillas get ready to face the Northeastern State Riverhawks with the pressure of success.
And later, one new study shows children with eczema treated with monoclonal antibodies saw a significant reduction. We'll have the details. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14.
It's time to honor today's four-state hero, Cliff McNaught. Corporal McNaught served in the Marines from 1967 to 1969. He served as a field radio operator in Vietnam, and during his service, he earned the Purple Heart and other accommodations. A native of Chinook, Kansas, we thank you. Today's four-state hero, Cliff McNaught.
Well, Elizabeth Smart, who was kidnapped as a child and held captive for 9 months, announced her foundation is partnering with Southern Utah University to offer the Smart Defense course as a college credit.
Ben Winslow has the story.
She's going to do a gainer 360 roll, right back up.
Avery Hunter took her first self-defense class on Monday.
There are times, sometimes later at night, when I go to my parking lot, it's darker, and sometimes I think to myself, oh, what if something does happen?
But thanks to the class, the freshman student says she's already learning new skills.
Because of this class, I know I can walk through my parking lot with confidence and think if something does happen, I'm the one in control.
What is being taught is a lifelong skill.
Elizabeth Smart, who was kidnapped as a child and held captive for 9 months, announced her foundation is partnering with Southern Utah University to offer the Smart Defense course as a college credit. The Cedar City-based school isn't known for being particularly dangerous, but its president says the skills can be used anywhere.
It's important for me to make sure our students have the tools they need to succeed in life.
Smart says she wanted to see the self-defense courses taught in schools after she was assaulted on an airplane a few years ago.
I just said to my husband, do I just have a big sign across my forehead that says easy victim? I mean, how can this even be possible? And that is when I knew that I wanted to do something more. Because if it was happening to me, then how many other people was it happening to?
SUU has just started teaching smart defense, but classes are already full.
The buzz is strong on campus. Everybody's asking, when can I join? Can I sign up for next year, next semester?
In addition to martial arts, the courses teach other things like boundaries and bystander awareness. Smart says that's just as important.
Because if people weren't paying attention in my story, and if they didn't pick up the phone when maybe they weren't 100% sure and called the police and said, I think I just saw Elizabeth Smart, if they hadn't taken that additional step, I mean, I might not be here.
The founders say they're open to expanding this to anybody who's interested. Members of the Utah State Legislature are also intrigued with the idea of offering this in other schools.
I'd like to see it everywhere.
Lawmakers were in the audience at the demonstration to see if the curriculum should be expanded to other schools.
I think it's got merit. And when we have a university like SUU, we have a model.
Ben Winslow, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Certainly something that is absolutely worth taking.
I know for sure that Missouri Southern does teach a self-defense class that sounds like it's similar to this as well.
Yeah, and I mean, at least with this at Utah, it's kind of a college credit. So
there you go.
Something, just more encouragement to take it. At least it counts for something. So.
All right.
Quick look at this day in weather history. Back in 1888, believe it or not, a tornado touched down in Washington, D.C. It traveled up Maryland Avenue before it lifted just at the foot of Capitol Hill. National Museum and Botanical Gardens were damaged. Look at the Skywatch storm tracker. We are waiting to see what happens with this line of showers out to our west. We are hopeful that it continues to trek to the east, but as you can see, it's also breaking up and falling apart. So we'll see what happens because we do need the rain, but I think overall most of us are going to stay dry. 7th and Range line, the sun is rising. Things are looking pretty good. 61 degrees as we start the day. Get 62 Yates Center, 60 Independence, 63 Columbus, and 59 in Pittsburgh. Allergies are a big thing. Pollen counts are still very high. We're looking at a 9.2 out of 12, and tomorrow an 8.3 out of 12. As we go through the rest of the day, as I mentioned, we might see those isolated showers or storms through noon. 91 for an afternoon high, and as we head into tonight, we're going to stay partly cloudy with an overnight low of 64. We've got more right after this.
In Healthwatch this morning, relief for infants and children with eczema and another reason for Meatless Monday. Astrid Martinez has some of the day's top health stories.
New evidence presented at the European Association for the Study of Diabetes shows consuming red and processed meats increases the risk of type 2 diabetes. Italian researchers suggest swapping in moderate amounts of fish and eggs as substitutes, incorporating lower or non-fat dairy like milk and yogurt were found to lower risk. In a diet rich in whole grains, fiber, fish, and omega-3 fatty acids may reduce the risk of death from all causes for adults with type 2 diabetes. German researchers reviewed dozens of studies over a decade and linked these foods to favorable changes in blood pressure, cholesterol, blood sugar levels, and anti-inflammatory effects. Finally, some relief for infants and young children with eczema. A study published in The Lancet found more than half of children treated with a monoclonal antibody had at least 75% reduction in signs of eczema and itch. They also slept through the night instead of scratching. Those are some of today's top health stories. Astrid Martinez, CBS News, New York.
All right, Skywatch Storm Tracker. We're watching some showers and a few rumbles of thunder out to the west. Unfortunately, you can see they are breaking up. There's some development trying to take place on the backside, so we'll see what happens here and see if we can maybe get a few showers, at least for our western counties. Something would be better than nothing at this point. We got a beautiful sunrise, though, at 7th and Range line, and temperatures are looking good to start the day. 61 degrees right now in Joplin. The wind's going to pick up, too, by the way. We're looking at gusts upwards of 20. We've got 63 Chanute, Parsons, 62 Columbus, Pittsburgh, Lamar, and Nevada, and 61 in Carthage as we start the day. Also worried about allergies because they are still high, and they're going to remain that way for the next several days, too. 9.2 out of 12 today, 8.3 out of 12 tomorrow. As we go through the rest of the day, we'll watch for those isolated storm chances through about the noon hour. Otherwise, mostly clear, 91. We're partly cloudy tonight with an overnight low dropping back down to 64 degrees. For Friday night football, we got good weather for it at least. A little bit on the warm side, though. We're looking at 80 at kickoff, 76 at halftime with clear skies otherwise. And a quick check of the 7-day forecast shows us the temperatures we have today are about as good as it gets because we only warm up from here. Maybe a stray storm or two Saturday. Otherwise, temperatures pushing close to 100 degrees, if not reaching 100 degrees by next week. We've got more of the KOAM Morning News right after this.
Coming up, a crash near Springfield, Missouri leaves one man seriously injured.
We're looking at rain showers out to the west, hopeful that at least a few of these could get in here. Otherwise, it's going to be hot. We'll talk all about it coming up.
And Hispanic students at PSU celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. It's currently 7:28.
It has been a good morning so far.
That's right.
I hope everybody at home's having a good morning because it's going to be pretty hot today and it's going to get really hot through the rest of the week.
You know what also is hot? Shannon Becker's big 3 stories of the week. He'll be back in the studio to tell us all about those.
Plus his bonus story.
And his bonus story.
We got a lot to look forward to this half hour. And one of the things that we are talking about, too, is the drought situation. So I wanted to go straight to the Skywatch storm tracker. We're watching these rain showers out there, and you can see there's been some redevelopment attempting to take place behind what's now a dying line of showers starting to approach, say, Chautauqua and Elk counties out there, unfortunately. Hopefully, we can get a little something out of this, even if it's just for some of our western counties, because, boy, we need rain in any form. 7th and range line, a really nice sunrise to start the day. Good temperatures to start the day. 61 in Joplin right now. We've got 60s for the most part across the area. 58 Sedan, 60 Independence, 63 Parsons, 62 Lamar, and Nevada as we start this day. We're also looking at the allergy count as well because it is still high. 9.2 out of 12 today, an 8.3 out of 12 forecasted for tomorrow. So allergy sufferers, beware. Heading through the day, we're going to watch the chance for those isolated showers, maybe a rumble of thunder through about noon. Otherwise, the rest of us mostly clear, 91 degrees for a high today. Tonight, we're going to be partly cloudy, overnight low of 64. And for Friday night football, the one advantage, I guess, to the clear skies is it's good for that. We're looking at good weather tonight. 80 at kickoff, 76 halftime, mostly clear skies. Then there's the 7-day forecast, and that's where it gets a little concerning. We have a slight chance of showers and storms heading into Saturday. And then look at these temperatures. They rise to, if not reaching, 100 degrees next week. And as you can see, we stay clear, we stay dry, we stay hot, which is something we do not need because the drought situation is not looking good either, which you can see here on the drought tracker. Still a good chunk of the area under extreme drought. And some of the areas in southwest Missouri that recovered may worsen over the next several days, given how dry and how hot it's going to be. In fact, that's causing some serious concerns in Caney, Kansas, which Tanya's going to tell you about in terms of their water situation there.
Like Chris said, the entire state of Kansas is pretty much in a drought. But the city of Caney has declared a water emergency. The city is asking citizens not to use water for anything other than to maintain health and personal hygiene. Mayor says they've been warning residents about this for 30 days now, but some have not taken it seriously and have still been watering their yards, for example, which leads to this extent.
And now we've shut the car washes completely down. We have called the restaurants and asked them to conserve water as much as possible. We're hanging door taggers in town telling people that, you know, every house in town is going to get a door tag that says, hey, we're in a water emergency and now you guys have to start conserving water.
While our patrol officers are out patrolling, I've instructed them if they see somebody watering that's not supposed to be watering, to just stop and talk to them and explain the situation.
Caney Police Chief says it is not normal for the police department to be the water police, says they will educate people about the regulation, but also write citations if needed. A crash near Springfield, Missouri leaves one person seriously injured. 66-year-old Robert Van Glider of Willard, Missouri was driving his Harley-Davidson motorcycle when he turned into the path of 22-year-old Joseph Brown's 2003 Dodge Stratus. Van Glider was seriously injured and transported to Mercy Hospital in Springfield via ambulance. The city of Joplin recently completed a housing study to identify needs of the community. Some of the results show that there is a highly competitive renter and ownership market. Something to also take away from the study, the demand for different types of housing.
Development. Currently we have a record number of multifamily units under production compared to previous years, and still a very highly competitive and high producing single family market as well.
One of the advantages to Joplin found in the study is the downtown area. Events and accessibility are key contributors. Hispanic students at Pitt State are celebrating their heritage all month long. KOAM's Amber Jenkins has more.
September 15th marks the first day of National Hispanic Heritage Month. A student-led organization at Pittsburgh State called Hispanics of Today is kicking the month off by holding a celebration.
Well, since COVID, we didn't have this event, but this is the second one that I've been to since I've been here, and it's just like the kickoff to Hispanic Heritage Month.
After 2 years of canceling events due to COVID, Hispanics of Today is getting their names out there this school year.
I want people to know and be aware of the Hispanic community here on campus and just in Pittsburgh in general. So this is a way to reach to students, but also to the community, and let Pittsburgh know that we're here.
Establishing a Hispanic identity on campus helps students feel at home.
The need is very strong. We do have a community here in Pittsburgh, but many people who come from different places grew up in a very bigger Hispanic community. So when they come here and they don't see their culture, they get a little shy and don't want to go out and do things.
Feeling included in celebrating Hispanic heritage is one of the goals of the student-led organization.
They are able to see their own culture, speak to people in their own language, just have another person who's like family to them when they're far away from their own.
Reporting in Pittsburgh, Amber Jenkins, KOAM News.
Hispanics of Today is planning more on-campus events throughout Hispanic Heritage Month.
All right, quick recap of that 7-day forecast. You can see where we heat up heading into next week. Highs approaching, if not reaching 100 degrees by the middle of next week. Cold front still scheduled for Thursday, but it's not going to bring us any rain chances, unfortunately. Temperatures do cool down, but we're not looking at a chance of rain until next Sunday. So the drought situation is only going to worsen over the next several days as we stay hot and dry. Well, this morning, we're discussing the great tipping debate. Tipping can be a touchy subject, originally meant to acknowledge standout service. It seems like the virtual tip jar has popped up everywhere. Even before your service, there's an expectation of a tip. So when do you tip and how much? Now, on average, Americans are tipping nearly 20% for meals and gratuities. And that brings us to our morning talker. What are you doing? How much are you tipping? Is it no tip whatsoever, maybe 5%, 5 to 10, 10 to 20, or more? So far, 2% of you say you don't tip, 2% of you say up to 5%. There's a lot of percentages on here. 17% of you say you tip 5 to 10%. 65% of you saying you tip 10 to 20%. And there's a number of you saying that you do tip a little bit more.
If you want to tip me, great.
I was going to say, let's tip Tanya Bach for standing there.
Can we put a virtual tip jar right
long.
there? No, you could just fill it up with Mountain Dew live wires. I'll take that too.
We'll set out a tip box here out in front of the station. Just bring Mountain Dew live wires. Bring some cans of Coca-Cola too, because I'm a big fan of Coca-Cola.
He doesn't do Pepsi products. Chris prefers Coke. I'm a Pepsi girl.
And my wife prefers Pepsi, so the two of you'd get along really well because she loves Pepsi products.
And just dark soda in general is not really, I'm not too keen on. I prefer like Sprites and anything with caffeine or Mountain Dews.
But really, I need anything with caffeine and Coke. Very, very much so qualifies. Anyway, I don't know what's going on in this anymore.
You do not need to tip us. Please don't. We were
joking. Really don't. The last thing Helen, our receptionist, needs is a whole flock of people showing up with like cases of soda.
I wouldn't say no. Okay.
We wouldn't say no, but we're just saying you don't really need to do it. We're kidding.
Keep it under $25 value. Okay, thanks. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14, our very own Shannon Becker is back in the studio. There he is. Just look straight ahead. There you go.
Here
to talk about his big three stories of the week.
And this week on Game On, we talk about games being released by Disney. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. We're going to be right back.
All right, welcome back. And of course, we've got Shannon Becker in studio again to highlight the big three stories of the week.
We've got them for you. What's on the web at KOAM News Now? It's number 3 this week. It was Monday, 6:30 in the morning, and Mom and Dad in Oklahoma woke up. Their 2-year-old toddler was not in the house. About 12 hours later, over 100 people volunteering, 20 agencies in Okfuskee County, Oklahoma, they found that child deceased. Authorities are saying there that it's not a criminal investigation, but they are continuing to see what occurred. That funeral is coming up, and there's a GoFundMe now. We just posted with an update on that story on our website. Our number 2 story, Joplin News First. Joplin school bus was rear-ended in Duquesne, and you can see that significant damage there to that SUV as it rear-ended a school bus, knocking out that lower emergency exit window. None of the kids were injured. There were about 15 on the bus. Parents came and picked them up at the scene, or some of them just went on to school as they were transferred to another bus. The SUV driver was not hurt, but in the SUV driver's defense, the sun, that time of day in the morning, 7:30, you literally cannot see almost in front of you.
That is always one of my biggest fears, dropping off and picking up the kids, because it's an east-west direction
exactly.
at my son's elementary school, and that's why crossing guards are so important.
Yes,
and you got to pay attention, and you don't go around buses because you never know if there's that tiny child that's just in the sunlight blinding.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The thankless jobs that school crossing guards.
Yes.
And then our number 1 story of the week, the Joplin area firefighters stair climb for 9/11. This was this last Sunday, and the Baxter Springs Fire Auxiliary put it on every year. And so Joplin firefighters participate, Galena, Kansas, of course, Baxter, other fire departments all across the area. Even they had some other people that volunteered besides firefighters. That's the 3 who help organize every year, and the firefighters who do the 343 climb wear a tag that represents one of the officers, or the fire department officers that was killed on 9/11. So it's a really inspiring thing. And then our bonus story of the week, one of my favorites, Jen Schott, a Pittsburgh native. She has written the number 1 song on country radio right now, Tim McGraw, 75 OBO. And she went to Pittsburgh High School. Her dad, Robert Schott, he was a professor of music at PSU for years. He's passed away now. Now, Jen was here doing a songwriter show about 2017. It was a benefit for Ronald McDonald House. And she performed a song called This Town that Natalie Hemby recorded, and then shared pictures and stuff of people who'd passed away in our area here, and that's what inspired her to write this huge song. That's what's so neat, that like these songwriters, what's really behind it. Because even in 7500 OBO, I did an interview with her. She said she backed into a mailbox on Broadway, and she said that's why she had said, "Oh, there's a dent in the side of the truck," and all that. But 7500 or best offer for the pickup. So it's on our website. It's a great story. Hometown girl makes it big after 22 years songwriting in Nashville. Isn't that crazy?
That is awesome.
She's had a lot of hits, but this is her first big number 1. So
that is really awesome.
That's our bonus story, Joplin News First.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. And of course, you can find all of these stories online.
KOAM News Now. That's it.
All right. We'll be right back.
We're still watching this dying band of showers and thunderstorms out to the west, starting to creep into our western counties. We're hopeful some of this redevelopment can hold on and maybe bring us some additional much-needed rain out to the west. But I wouldn't necessarily hold my breath on that. Right now at 7th and Range Line, we got a good sunrise, good skies out there, partly cloudy, 61 degrees with a light south-southeast breeze. It's going to get a little gusty later. 60s for the most part across the area, 60 Yates Center, 63 Pittsburgh, 61 Carthage, and 61 in Monette. Allergies also a big problem as we drag on through the hot weather we've got. 9.2 out of 12 today for pollen, and 8.3 out of 12 forecasted for tomorrow, and it's going to stay pretty high for the next several days, just like our temperatures. We're still watching again those isolated shower and thunderstorm chances through the noon hour, mainly out west, and then we'll be mostly clear, high of 91 today, and then we're going to get into tonight, where we're going to drop down to 64 under partly cloudy skies. And for Friday night football, the one nice thing about the dry, clear weather is it makes for great football weather. It's good tonight, 80 at kickoff, 76 at halftime under mostly clear skies. This weekend, another slight chance of rain Saturday, 93, most of us dry again, then 96 partly cloudy on Sunday. And with the wind, do keep an eye out on your trash can. Those gusts up to 20 could knock that thing over. And as we look at the 7-day forecast, you can see where temperatures just climb. And we're looking at mid-90s, approaching 100 degrees by the middle of next week. It's one of those situations where we definitely have to keep an eye on it for sure, because it is what we do not need to have happen. Unfortunately, that's just the way it is. Cold front still Thursday, brings temperatures down a bit. Our next best chance of rain isn't looking to be here until next Sunday. So drought situation's only going to get worse. In Consumer Watch this morning, consumer reports say Americans are on pace to set an annual record for most complaints to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau about inaccuracies in their credit reports. Just over half of all complaints filed with the federal agency in 2020 and 2021 focused on credit scores. By law, consumers can get a free, complete credit report once a year at annualcreditreport.com. A lawyer for Kanye West confirms the rapper and The Gap have prematurely ended their shoe and clothing partnership. West's lawyer sent a letter to the retailer saying it has not met some contractual obligations, including failing to sell certain clothes from West's Yeezy line in Gap stores. Gap did not immediately respond to a request for comment, but published reports say Gap is also pulling out of the deal announced in 2020. I'll be back with more after this, but first, let's take a look at those market prices before the opening bell.
From the world of Mickey Mouse to Tron to Avatar, Disney has several new video games playable very soon.
Yeah, Rick Damagella reports.
Mickey, Minnie, Donald, Goofy, we bid you welcome.
At its annual D23 Expo, Disney's game division revealed several new titles, including Disney Illusion Island. The adventure game will feature 4-player co-op and arrives on the Nintendo Switch in 2023. Whoa, slow down there, Mickey! The mouse and a large cast of friends from across the Disney multiverse will soon be hitting the track in Disney Speedstorm. The high-octane kart racer doesn't have an official green flag date yet, but is expected to peel out later this year. There's not much to see yet, but Disney premiered a vague teaser for Tron Identity at D23. The mysterious game is planned for release on Windows and Mac OS next year. More gameplay was revealed from the Marvel Universe's darker side with Marvel Midnight Suns, which is scheduled to arrive across current and next-gen game platforms December 2nd. Other footage reveals included Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora and new downloadable content for LEGO Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga. Disney game fans might need to plan a sick day or two. Leveling up in Hollywood, I'm Rick Damagella.
My kids love the LEGO Star Wars, for sure.
Yeah, my kids just love Legos.
I love Star Wars, so I'll tolerate it.
And I'm a Star Trek fan, so no Star Wars Legos.
Is there Star Trek games like that?
Not quite like that. There are Star Trek games out there, not quite like that, but there are games out there, and they're fun to play. Something that's not so fun, though, is the lack of rain across the area. Now, we are watching, as you can see, that line of showers from this morning dying out as it enters the western part of our viewing area. We're watching for the possibility of some redevelopment out west, as you can see, just west of Wichita and stretching down in north central Oklahoma. Hopefully this can maybe hold together a little better and bring a little more rain to parts of southeast Kansas, but I wouldn't hold your breath on this. It may fall apart just like the showers did. We are good at 7th and Rangeline though. Skies look pretty nice. Temperatures are also pretty nice for now. 61 degrees, the light south-southeast breeze. Winds are going to get a little gusty later though, out of the south, upwards of 20 miles an hour. 65 for Fredonia, 63 Chanute, 63 Pittsburgh, and 61 in Carthage as we start the day. Allergies, another issue that we are facing. Pollen count still high, 9.2 out of 12. Today, 8.3 out of 12 forecasted for tomorrow. As we go through the rest of today, it's going to warm up. We'll still watch those isolated shower and storm chances through about the noon hour, mainly out west. But otherwise, we're mostly clear, 91 today. As we go through tonight, we become partly cloudy, the overnight low of 64 degrees. And for Friday night football, weather's looking good for that at least. We are calling it good on the field because we're looking at mostly clear skies, 80 at kickoff, 76 at halftime. And then through the weekend, maybe a stray storm or two again tomorrow. 93 Saturday, 96 Sunday, partly cloudy skies. And the week-long forecast, man, it shows no relief in sight. In fact, temperatures only climb. We're talking near 100, if not 100, toward the end of September. 100-degree weather, mostly clear, dry, and hot. Not good news for the drought situation whatsoever. We've got more right after this.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Here's what's happening today. The families of 2 Americans being held prisoner in Russia will meet separately with President Biden today. WNBA star Brittany Griner was arrested in February on drug charges and is appealing a 9-year prison sentence. U.S. Marine veteran Paul Whelan has served just over 2 years of his 16-year sentence for espionage-related charges that he denies. White House said in July that it had made a substantial proposal to get them home, but there's no sign that a breakthrough is imminent. Rehearsals are underway for Queen Elizabeth II's funeral on Monday. Hundreds of soldiers and bagpipers are practicing for what is expected to be the biggest international event the UK has hosted in decades. Meanwhile, in Westminster Hall, thousands continue to wait in hours-long lines to pay their respects to the Queen as she lies in state. Officials in Massachusetts are looking into temporarily housing a military base for the 48 asylum seekers that were flown to Martha's Vineyard under an order from Florida's Republican governor. The trip was paid with $12 million of taxpayer money. Democrats called the move disgusting and a political stunt. But Governor Ron DeSantis says it's President Biden's fault for not securing the southern border.
All right, quick check of the forecast today. So maybe some isolated storms through the noon hour. Most of us dry, mostly clear, 91. Heading into tonight, we get partly cloudy skies with an overnight low of 64. And a look at the 7-day shows where our temperatures approach the 100-degree mark. As we head into the middle of next week, we stay hot and we stay dry. Well, thank you so much for letting us put the good in your morning. We're going to be back with more news and weather at noon.
Have a great morning and an even better day.